Graduates, guests, and colleagues, my name is Sharon Oakley from York Alumni Association. I'm delighted to welcome you to your graduation celebration ceremony. I have a few announcements to make before we begin so that you can relax and enjoy the ceremony. Graduates, an easy job to start with. Please check that your seat number matches the number on your ticket, because you will be called to the stage in this order. If you discover that these do not match, our team of stewards can help you locate the correct seat. At the appropriate time, you will be invited by the stewards to stand and make your way to the foot of the stairs, ready to head up the stairs and across the stage. All very straightforward. There are two key things which make for a seamless ceremony. Firstly, as soon as the person ahead of you begins to cross the stage, please make sure that you make your way up the stairs. Please don't wait until they have passed across the stage before you reach the top of the stairs. Secondly, don't let excitement and pride overwhelm you so much that you forget to pick up your celebratory parchment after you have crossed the stage. If you do, don't worry, but please don't try to go back, because you will collide with someone coming the other way. Instead, please visit the graduation information desk in the Market Square, where you collected your gown, for 30 minutes after the ceremony. Graduates, you are asked to please raise or doff your cap rather than shake hands with the Chancellor when you are called on stage. And please feel free, if you are wearing a face covering, to remove it temporarily whilst on stage and pause for a moment at the spot marked X in the center of the stage for that all-important photo opportunity. At the end of the ceremony, graduates are asked to process out of the hall directed by stewards. Family and friends, the stewards will show you to the exits once the graduates have left the hall. If the fire alarm should sound at any point, please remain in your seats. Instructions will be given, and we will escort you to the nearest exit. When you graduated, you became part of the alumni of the University of York, and you joined an international community of over 140,000 York alumni in 180 countries. Your Alumni Association is a vibrant and active global network offering events, services, and opportunities designed to help you make connections with other alumni around the world and to support your career development. We will be there for you every step of the way as you embark on this next chapter, and you will have received an email giving further details of the ways in which you can stay connected and involved. In the meantime, please follow our alumni social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and check out the Alumni Association website to keep in touch and learn more about life as a York graduate. As you get your first job or take up further study or training, please remember to keep in touch and let us know what you are doing. Understanding the career paths that you will take helps us to provide the right support for current students and make sure we continue to offer graduates like you relevant information and opportunities. Finally, can I please ask that you mute your mobile phones, and if you are comfortably able, would you all now please stand?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome this afternoon to this ceremony of celebration of graduation at the University of York. Please do be seated. Firstly, some introductions. My name is Malcolm Grant. I'm the Chancellor of the University, which is a largely honorary and a fantastic position to hold. But I'm accompanied today on the platform by the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Charlie Jeffrey, and also by our honorary graduand, Violet Cannon, of whom you'll hear more later on in the ceremony. This is a very special ceremony. We're here today not to graduate you, because you've already graduated. That's a fantastic thing, but these graduates graduated in a ceremony that was online. And although that was a wonderful ceremony, nothing can compete with coming here into Central Hall, putting on these dull grey gowns which hide the wonderful clothes that you've put on for the session today, but also to be accompanied by friends, family, relatives, etc., etc. It's a very, very special occasion. So we don't call it graduation, but we replicate as much of that as we possibly can in the ceremony. And our graduates today are from the School of Law and from the Department of Electronic Engineering. It's a fantastic array. We will be awarding some PhD degrees. We will be awarding master's and bachelor's degrees. Or sorry, we will be celebrating the awards of all of those degrees. So some people might say, well, why would you put electronic engineering and law into the same ceremony? Is there any possible connection between electronic engineering and law? Electronic engineering, I know, is one of the leading departments in the country. It's covering everything from electronics through to nanotechnology, the whole array, I suppose, of computing science that relates to the hardware and to the permanent software, the infrastructure of computing. And then we have the lawyers, and at this stage I have to make a confession. I'm a lawyer. No, you please don't hold that against me, or indeed against our very distinguished graduating class, because the world needs more lawyers, and I'll explain in a moment why the world should need more lawyers. It's not easy, but I'll try. So the thing that brings us together most emotively today is an event that started here in York on the 29th of January 2020, when those first 2 cases of COVID were detected in the United Kingdom from a couple who come from China to come to the university. They were detected, and we had obviously a premonition that something terrible was going to happen. It was already evident across northern Italy, if you recall. What I don't think we had anticipated was that there should have been a global pandemic of such disproportion in any other style, in any other event in our lives. Total global death toll over 15 million people and continuing to rise. The pandemic is not yet over. I regard ourselves in the United Kingdom as being in the springtime of starting to come out of the worst effects of the worst aspects of the pandemic. But there are still parts of the world where it is causing death, destruction, and dislocation. For universities, it's been pretty difficult as well. For universities that had to shut down with a lockdown almost immediately, and yet struggle and try to continue a model of education that could replicate as close as possible in terms of its quality that which you would have had you been able to continue to be educated on the campus. So for that reason, it's phenomenal and it's terrific to have you back here today. So I would just try to join together then the disciplines of electronic engineering and the discipline of law. When I graduated as a law student, we wouldn't have thought of the digitization of anything. Law was a process of reading large books. It was a process of writing things out by hand. It was a process of doing your own search through the authorities and trying to find the ratio decidendi of a decision and applying that in legal reasoning. And law, I would say, like history, is a discipline focused on evidence, of dissecting evidence, gathering evidence, assembling arguments, and trying in an intellectual way to develop a particular proposition. The way in which computational science and electronic engineering has transformed the practice of law, I would say, is still at stage 1. We know that already algorithms can be designed to do some of that heavy lifting of legal analysis and research. There are even those, and I'm not one of them, who would argue that lawyers will be irrelevant and unnecessary. Can you imagine that? Lawyers irrelevant and unnecessary in the 21st century because the whole thing of dispute resolution, property transfer, commercial transactions can be done by algorithm. It's impossible, and we should dismiss that straight away. But we do know that lawyers are very useful. And you need only to look at the highest levels of government. There's number 10 Downing Street seems to have had a deficit of lawyers over recent months, and there is, I'm sure, a need for outstanding legal advice to protect our saintly political leaders from incarceration. And good luck in that. You have a distinguished and ancient profession, sometimes said to be the second oldest profession, but one that carries with it a great deal of weight and authority, and I would say leadership in modern society. So we are going to have today a celebration. We're modeling it on a conventional graduation ceremony, but I want you to think of this as a celebration. This is our way of acknowledging the fact that you have all come back to campus, for which we thank you. And it's our way of saying thanks to you and joining together in what is a collective celebration. I declare this congregation open for the celebration of awards. Thank you.
As we celebrate the achievements of students, we also wish to recognize the staff who have contributed to your success. York has an outstanding record of teaching excellence. What students will remember long after graduation are the individual members of staff and graduate teaching assistants who have supported, challenged, and inspired them. The Vice-Chancellor's Teaching Awards recognize and reward both individuals and teams who have made an outstanding impact on the student learning experience. All holders of these awards have demonstrated excellence in their teaching or the support they provide for learning, delivered with energy, care, and commitment. Our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Charlie Jeffrey, will today present Dr. Peter Harrison from the York Law School with the Vice-Chancellor's Teaching Award. Professor Tony Ward will now present awards for the Department of Electronic Engineering.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Electronic Engineering for research in medium access control for wireless sensor networks, Arnold Chow. For research in fault recovery in swarm robotic systems, Oyin Oladarun. For research in feasibility in near-field binaural loudspeakers, Kat Young. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Music Technology for research in acoustic boundary localization in non-convex rooms, Michael Lovedear Turner. For the degree of Master of Science in Audio and Music Technology, Pavarit Chuprasert. Rowan Evans. Roberto Grilli. For the degree of Master of Science in Digital Systems Engineering, Oliver Forbes Shaw. Bernard Gunsick. Gavin Johnson. Simone Leder. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering Management, Kan Chen. Rehan Rajek Heliwell Sultan. Aisha Khan. Saud Sattar. Joe Nair. For the degree of Master of Science in Intelligent Robotics, Daniela Ordonez. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Electronic Engineering, Luke Fisher. Holly James. James Pearson. Thomas Pound. William Robinson. Cameron Smith. Isaac Watson. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with a year in industry, Sophie Jane Bridgens. Alexander Elliott. Ben King. Miranda Lowther. Jack McEwen. James Robinson. For the degree of Master in Engineering in Electronic Engineering with Music Technology Systems, Nathan Billis. Oliver Clark. Will Daniels. Haruna Higa. Ivy Price. Zach Redfern. Dominic Richmond. Oliver Still. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with Music Technology Systems with a year in industry, Serena Badesha. Louis Cowell. Adam Goughton. Matthew Holt. Daniel Jackson. Elliot Lamb. Tanisha Mascarinas. Harry Ogden. Ethan Stanhope. Kevin Sum. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with Nanotechnology, Alexander Marchant. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Electronic and Computer Engineering, James Clawley. Nigeria Leo. Louis Newman. Katarzyna Polowicz. Eric Walker. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Electronic and Computer Engineering with a year in industry, Johan Clubb. Ho Ting Lok. Michael Saunders. Rhys Stevenson. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Electronics, James Winters. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Music Technology Systems, Samuel Merriweather. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic Engineering, Christopher Bestwick. William Broster. Michael Choon. Alex Coombs. Matthew Davies. David Denman. Alexander Dubitsky. Lewis Fitch. Barney Hobson. Min Gyeon Jun. Krishan Cabra. Galen Korosec. Jake Mitchell. Joshua Smith. Christopher Stevenson. Brandon Whitehead. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with a year in industry, Samuel Morgan. John Waterhouse. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with Business Management, Ryan Evans. Gregor Mackenzie. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with Business Management with a year in Industry, Joshua Allen. Michael Warwick. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with Music Technology Systems, Hugo Bell. William Durkin. Kian Grunfeld. Joseph Harrison. Jawan Mead. Hartley Robinson. Louis Rushton. Noah Williams. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with Music Technology Systems, with a year in Industry, Harry Dyson. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic Engineering with Nanotechnology, Cameron Kay. Mustafa Kaprula. Nearly. Joshua Mackenzie. Sebastian Pira. Frederick Smith. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic and Communication Engineering, Yi Wan Yao. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic and Computer Engineering, William Kirby. Edward Moy. Aisha Manir. Jonathan Proctor. Jack Purvis. Thomas Staples. Benjamin Stones. Adam Wood. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic and Computer Engineering with a year in Industry, Nicholas Murray. Nikhil Tiawi. Hitson Upal. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics, Akin Ogunyidi. David Pynchon. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics with a year in Industry, Will Mitchell. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Music Technology Systems, Jacob Cooper. Damien Nawaki.
Professor Matt Matravers will now present awards for York Law School.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates. for the degree of Master of Laws in Art Law, Apurba Roy Chudari. For the degree of Master of Laws in International Corporate and Commercial Law, Aisha Al-Thawadi. For the degree of Master of Laws in International Human Rights Law and Practice, Ella Allen. Rashan Awan. Saran Barras. Paulina Jevkotka.
Ladies and gentlemen, musical ensemble E Anonyme will now perform I Want You Back, arranged by Rachel Singer.
When I had you to myself, I didn't want you around. Those pretty faces always make you stand out in the crowd. But someone picked you from the bunch, your glances all it took. Now it's much too late for me to take a second look. Oh, baby, give me one more chance. Show you that I love you. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Oh, darling, I was blind to let you go. But now, since I see you in his arms, yes, I do now. I want you back. Ooh, baby. I want you back. Yeah, 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 yeah. I want you back. Na, 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 na. Trying to live without your love is one long sleepless night. Let me show you, girl, that I know wrong from right. Every street you walk on, I leave tear stains on the ground. Following the girl I didn't even want around. Let me tell you now, baby, all I need is one more chance. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Oh, darling, I was blind to let you go, baby. Now, since I see you, it is up to you. Let me tell you now, baby, all I need is one more chance. Show you that I love you. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Oh, darling, I was blind to let you go, baby. Now, since I see you in his arms, yeah, baby, all I need is one more chance. Show you that I love you, baby, 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 back in your heart. Oh, darling, I was blind to let you go, baby. Now, since I see you, I want you back.
Professor Matt Matravers will once again present awards for York Law School.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates. For the degree of Master of Laws in International Human Rights, Law and Practice, Jane Ridley. Catherine Tranter. Jacqueline von Humbeck. India Walden. For the degree of Master of Laws in Law, Lauren McGowan. Christian Putman. For the degree of Master of Laws in Legal and Political Theory, Helen Kane. Joseph Gent. For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law, Nimona Abera. Michelle Aguare. Mirza Rizwan Ahmad. Nunuma Ajakwe. Juwana Hedjazen. Zainab Ali. Rebecca Allen. Aisha Mohammed Aliamanya. Jade Amrouni. Ohima Anan Ankokwe. Jasper Anscombe. Dimitra Apostolopoulou. Charlotte Barber. Christina Bardoapoulou. Alex Barr. Anika Bashir. Edward Bell. Cara Benjamin. Tyler Berry. Imelda Bazzati. Francesca Blythe. Kirsten Box. Bethany Brayshaw. Adam Brinkley. Thomas Brunswick. Christy Bryan. Laura Catherine Burke. Amy Maria Butler. Joshua Byers. Beth Carter. Faye Cartwright. Ellie Chambers. Catherine Chan. Claudie Cheng. Mohammed Jahenga Jahoudry Raj. Freya Cole Norton. Joe Collins. Alex Cope. Amelia Crossley. Jason Crowther. Charlotte Dolby. Alicia Dearden. Harry Dimmock. Carla Dixon. Barnabas Dowson. Georgina Egan. Alexander Elliott. Lauren Ellis. Sophie Ems. Karma Satir. Evangeline Evans. Charlie Farden. Molly Gallagher. Hannah Gallard. David Garcia. Yasmin Gadamian. Owen Gibson. Melissa Greenwood. Daniel Griffiths. Nazreen Hago. Imogen Hall. James Hall. Lucy Hampstead. Victoria Hanley. Amy Hanna. Tiamira Hart. Alexander Hinchcliffe. Dominic Hodnett. Emma Holdsworth. Dylan Hooper. Lewis Howard. Joseph Humphreys. Jasmine Hunt. Alana Hutchinson. Nathan Igbogwe. Megan Enison. Elizabeth Jackson. Daniel Johnston. Rafsan Kamal Rafi. Daniel Kamal Shireen. Chloe Key. Raisa Khan. Elisa Capizzo. Nikos Kapouros. Victoria Knowles. Panagiotis Kondyloudis. Samuel Coe. Ho Lam. Carway Eunice Lam. Marcus Latham. Hockling Vanessa Lau. Steph Lau. Q-Ann Laura Lee. Jake Lenehan. Leah Levine. Megan Lewis. Yuchi Liang. Janvi Lillapurwala. Abby Rose Little. Grace Littlewood. Lauren Maddock. Eunice McGeet. Ida Maha. Rebecca Ma. Molly Mann. Alexandra Marinescu. Neve McCarthy. Anna McDowell. Joshua Meelan. Liam Middleton. Ben Milnes. Molly Minter. Alia Mokhtar. Elisha Monker Byrne. Daniel Morton. Benjamin Moss. Elisha Musakautis. George Mullen. Priska Munzemba. Julian Murphy. Aliyah Nasser. Olivia Nelson. Joshua Nuttall. Matthew Nuttall. Ciara O'Donnell. Leanne Ocker. Amanda Ordell. Antoine Orenja de Gaffra. Thank you. Daniel Owen. Andreas Paleokrasis. Max Pamela. Kinga Papp. Sahil Patel. Stavros Patarakis. Laura Pito. Leia Pisaridou. Cordelia Chloe Poon. Jordan Pretty. Anastasios Krios Dukas. Anna Marie Pankova. Megan Rafferty. Pravanth Rakanathlunan. Rebecca Jane Rayner. Anna Reese. Ewan Reeves. Elizabeth Reffel. Jessica Rendini. Okay. Dylan Ribeiro. Isabel Ringrose. Lydia Robinson. Georgia Robson. Theodora Iris Rodanu. Bradley Saffron. Izzy Salter. Chloe Sarson. William Robert Scott. Kelvin Sedo. Iki Shafiq. George Shaw. Dylan Silk Brown. Lydia Slack. Emma Slater. Charlie Ann Smith. Lauren Standevan. Stephen Stanley. Emily Statham. Nikolaos Stavrianos. Alice Steele. Jessica Stewart. Connor Sullivan. Terry Sutton. Annie Tam. Emma Thomas. Annabelle Thompson. Kevin Toskai. Emma Tapakeri. Alexei Verame. Emily Vinter. Charlotte Wallace. Benjamin Wardby. Megan Weir. Isabella Whiteley-Ty. Louisa Webiker. Jessica Wignall. Holly Wild. And Joseph Woods. For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law with a year abroad, Sebastian Betts. Olivia Daybell. Sarah Gray El-Sharif. Faith Phillips. And Kimberly Sanderson. For the degree of Bachelor of Law, Senior Status in Law, Hilkiah Adebanjo. Cody French. Helen James. Brian Lardner. Simon Lovett. Catherine Marcus. Hamit Rahal. And for the degree of Bachelor of Law in Law, Maria Fragaki.
Professor Caroline Hunter from York Law School will now present our honorary graduand, Violet Margaret Princess Cannon.
Chancellor, it is an honour and a privilege to introduce our honorary graduate, Violet Cannon. I first met Violet about in December 1960. Oh, God, I'll get this right. Sorry. Some of you know I have aphasia because of a stroke, and sometimes the words just don't come out. So bear with me, because I really wanted to do this for Violet. So I'll carry on, but as I say, bear with me. So I first met Violet in December 2017 when, as a trustee of the York Travellers Trust, I was on an interview panel to appoint a new CEO. Violet was the outstanding candidate, and the trustees were thrilled that she accepted the post. She is truly an inspiring person, working for the Gypsy and Traveller community locally and nationally. Gypsies and Travellers are one of the largest ethnic minorities in York, yet they remain one of the most disadvantaged and marginalised groups within our society, isolated from the mainstream and often facing racism and discrimination. Violet's own experience as a gypsy demonstrates the discrimination that the community faces. She wrote about her story on a York website, and I'm just going to read what she wrote here. I want to fight for equality for all. Where did the first fire, I can't say your words, Violet, sorry. Where did the fire first fanned into a flame? I think something changed inside me when I was quite young. I think it happened on a day I stood holding my mum's hand outside a grand building in York. I felt the security of my mum's grasp loosening. Watched a man fall to the ground, clutching his chest. My mum down on her knees, trying to give him CPR. It happened in a flash. I went to her side to hear the man's wife saying the following words: "Leave it him. I would rather he died rather than have your word deleted lips anywhere near me." I saw my mum's hurt and confused face as she stood and took my hand. We walked away silently. Nobody came to apologise for those words. No one seemed to think they were wrong. My mum did not explain the words to me. We sat in silence on a step as we watched ambulances come and take the man and his wife away. I won't bore you with lots of statistics that demonstrate the discrimination that the Gypsy community feel, whether it's in education, health, or housing. Graduation is not the place for that, but it is the place to celebrate a person who has personally and professionally faced that discrimination and made the world a better place. Violet was born into a traditional English Gypsy family. I think it's not really English, is it? We've talked about this today, but anyway. Living right on a roadside until the change in legislation that made that lifestyle increasingly difficult. Although the family lived in a house, that didn't mean they stopped travelling. At the first hint of sunshine meant the trailer was ready to go. During this time, a wealth of gypsy culture was imparted to Violet, and meeting people from across all travelling backgrounds encouraged this. Violet draws on that rich heritage and her strong links across the different communities to enrich her work. During her working lifetime, Violet has been in the forefront of many Yorkshire-based gypsy and traveller communities. Having worked for Leeds Gypsy and Traveller Exchange, at Doncaster CVAS Proud Gypsy Traveller project, and then since joining the York Travellers Trust, the trust has gone from strength to strength. In October 2019, it was awarded a large, big community lottery grant of over more than £4,100, based on Violet's vision of the trust as a safe space where gypsies and traveller communities could come together to talk without judgment, prejudice or assumptions, to explore new life choices and to receive culturally appropriate support for their personal development. But the centre is also open to our settled new neighbours and other partners, and they can come and benefit from some of the services there. In this way, building a stronger community between York's oldest minority community and other residents. Violet is also the chair of a national organisation, Moving for Change, that aims to improve the quality of life for nomadic gypsies and travellers and the communities in which they live across the UK. Given the police, crime and sentencing and courts bill, which some of our students might remember or even think about them now, that is currently before Parliament, that effectively criminalises a nomadic way of life. This is urgent and important work. Violet is a prominent member of the gypsy community, both locally and nationally. It is a community that is sadly often missing from higher education. But Violet has already worked with students at this university in social work, and also our human rights students, who some of you have been here today. We hope that this award will be just a beginning of a relationship with the university, where we can properly demonstrate our desire to make every education open to everyone. Chancellor, it is an honour to present to you Violet for the degree of Doctor of the University Honoris. I can't say you can say that for me.
Honoris causa.
Thank you. I can't do the Latin at all. Thank you.
Sorry, I'll compose myself. I wish I could articulately express just how excited and honoured I feel to be standing here in this room with so much intelligence, knowledge, and hopefully desire to go out and change the world. I feel truly honoured and humbled, not to mention completely amazed, because never did I think that I would be here. I'm not sure how many of you have had your ethnicity used as an insult against you in your lives, but I've regularly had my ethnicity and my educational attainments used interchangeably towards me. I can count at least 4 times of vivid instances where I've been presenting research or my findings or training to be told, "You're just a little gypsy girl who left school at 9. What could you tell me?" So to find myself here, I am truly astonished. And maybe it's fair to say I shouldn't have told people I left school at 9. I will say school, not education. But I am very proud of what I've achieved with so little formal education. And I am a product of my community's perseverance, my mother's determination, and my father's ability to turn his hand at anything. I do often wonder what I could have achieved if I had gone through mainstream education and stayed right to the end. I guess we'll never know. But just by looking at some of you today, I know it could have enriched my community so much. And I hope that by being here today, it's a small step forward to encouraging my community to know that education isn't for others, that it is for them also. I was contemplating many years ago completing a degree. So as part of my work, I've done quite a lot of university-level courses, and I've always got really good grades on those. So I went to my hometown of Bradford, and I had a conversation with the ethnic minorities attendance person there. And I explained to him that whilst I had a job, my community would find it very strange me investing so much time and money into gaining a degree. He closed his books and told me that maybe my community wasn't ready for higher education. I felt disheartened and cried a little as I drove to my auntie's, and I relayed this conversation to her, to which she told me, "Maybe you've taken this education thing far enough. Maybe he's right." And for me, that firmly closed the book on me ever being standing in a room like this, getting one of those pieces of papers. So I'm truly, truly in awe. Sorry, I've lost my notes. All of you engineers will know where I'm at here. It became apparent to me on that day that it wasn't just my community that had a lack of aspiration for their children, but actually educational providers had a lack of education for my community also. We're routinely pushed to one side and informed that we're not going to be anything. I've seen my nieces and nephews get to the age of 9 and 10 and put to one side because the teachers decide they're going to leave next year, so what's the point investing the energy? It's really difficult to talk about this, particularly after hearing the lovely words Caroline's had to say about me. One of the many catalysts for the work I do has already been mentioned, but there's been so many others. That's one case of a small child, and I say small, I was very small when that happened. It's one catalyst that a small child had vicious, nasty, racist words thrown at her, spat at her, in fact, but it wasn't the last instance. And it wasn't an instance that I can say happened 10 years ago. I've had those same words spat at me in the last few weeks. I routinely have those words spat at me as insults from social media, from people in the street, from people that I'm delivering training to, elected members to Joe Public. Sorry. So, hand on heart, I really never imagined I'd be in a room with such esteemed people. Thank you for listening to me. Sorry, I haven't finished yet. I wanted to talk to the law students today because I have done I've got a couple of credits towards a law degree, and that came from studying Gypsy Traveller Law specifically. And I have found that it has been an incredible ally as well as enemy of the Gypsy and Traveller communities. And so I do have a huge amount of respect, particularly, I mean, you're all talking in code and you're all talking in a different vocabulary altogether, and you're all walking around talking in contradictions. I have a massive amount of respect for you all, just keeping that knowledge in there. and what you're going to do with it. I can't imagine how amazing the world's going to be when you all step out there and make your mark on it. It's wonderful to think about. So I was told that this should be generally positive and aspirational. And I've really, really tried. I hope you feel that. But I do feel I would be remiss if I didn't use this time to mention the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill that sadly was given royal assent this week. So it's not been discussed, it's been given royal assent. And what this legislation does, it's the biggest change for our right to protest on the first hand. So to be allowed to protest, you now have to ask permission from the police, and your protest must not cause a disruption and mustn't be loud. A little bit of a contradiction there. So that's the one piece of this legislation, but the other piece is the threat that it poses to the homeless gypsies and travellers. In England today, we have around 20% of the 600,000 gypsies and travellers that are recognised as officially homeless. So that means they have a caravan, but nowhere legal or safe to park it. This legislation effectively criminalises those people overnight, with a maximum sentence of 3 months, £5,000 fine and their homes being impounded. I can only imagine what will happen when the adults are all arrested, what happens to the children. And we've tried to use legislation and law to challenge this in Parliament, and we've only been told, well, when it goes to court, we'll see. So I'm counting on all you lot to help us see what happens when it goes to court. I do hope that we can come together. I do hope that this is a starting point for us to stand shoulder to shoulder, to fight for each other's rights and to acknowledge each other's responsibilities so that we can come together respecting each other's political and personal views. And I do hope that some of you will join York Travellers Trust, that we'll move forward and find a way that we can come through this time of difficult turmoil and come out the other side stronger and better. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, shortly I will be drawing proceedings to a close with a video particularly produced for this season of ceremonies. But before I do, there are a couple of duties I've got to discharge. And it's for you, the graduated, I must get the tense right, the graduated class, because there are two groups who've really made it possible for you to be here today. And I'm going to ask you to express thanks to them. The first is, of course, the entire staff of the university. You just imagine, 2 years ago, everything had to turn around quickly as the university adapted to the new reality of lockdown and social isolation. Every university suffered. Every university struggled to try and make things as normal as possible. I know this university did a very good job. Our staff were not immune. Our staff also had loss, had damage, had family dislocations. But today, it's a time for us all to come back together and to express our grateful thanks to all the staff, the leadership, the academic staff, and everybody who's contributed to make this university continue through the last 2 difficult years. The staff. And the second group, of course, is all these people in the gallery around. A number of you, as you came across here, waved to them. I don't think I heard sufficient then, so we're going to do it again. And we're all going to shout out for the friends, the family, and all of our colleagues who have come, not only here, but also who are viewing this online. Can we just say, you helped us, you saw us through all of this. Thank you to all of you, please. And then finally to you, our double graduated class, I just hope you have a great rest of the day. This has been a ceremony of celebration, and you are going to go out into the world with that sense not only of personal benefit, but of social impact that was being so eloquently expressed by Caroline and by Violet. I'm going to ask everybody, please, will you join me and congratulate once again our doubly graduated class, please.
A student at the University of York is one of the 2 Chinese citizens who have tested positive for the coronavirus in the UK.
So
Both
this statement from Public Health
Daily
England
Mail has the headline,
confirming
"Is the
that
killer
the 2
virus
people
here?"
had been
Pictures of
staying
people
in
with
York.
masks over their
Coronavirus
faces.
is a student at the University of York. I can't from our newsroom.
Begin.
When the first case in the UK was discovered here in York, I was visiting one of our partner universities, Maastricht in the Netherlands. Being the first case, there was obviously no script for us to follow. But at the same time as having the world's media looking at us, everybody was here. We brought together a contingency group, medical experts, others who could help us think through the issues that we might face, and we worked from the outset with the City Council and the other educational institutions in the city. Well, we knew very little about the virus at the time, and our overriding concern was to keep people safe and to give them the reassurance that we could, and to prepare for what followed, what became probably the most challenging year the university has ever faced.
At the time, I think emotions were kind of all over the place. There was so much uncertainty, which provided you a little bit of fear for the unknown and panic about what's going to happen next. The university was brilliant in that regard. They set up a phone line for students, for parents, for staff within the first 24 hours that anyone could call for any questions and reassurance.
The key thing was listening to students and making sure that they could see leadership and also a lot of compassion and kindness because, it was an uncertain time both for staff and for students. One of the main things the university did was introduce the Emergency Student Support Fund, one of the first universities in the UK to do so, recognising that students would lose things like part-time work and there'd be various financial challenges facing students. And that was really important to give students that financial certainty wherever they were.
We actually listened to what students and staff had to say. And with students, we listened to what they had to say through their elected student representatives, being members of our contingency groups, and also by conducting pulse surveys as well, so that we captured the mood and indeed what students actually wanted, and we responded to that. We managed to get all of our teaching and learning online within a week of the pandemic starting, which I think is a remarkable achievement. We provided roughly about 6,000 welfare calls or checks on students in self-isolation throughout the pandemic. We actually provided lockdown loot for students as well, so we provided food, treats, activity packs, and even hampers at Christmas as well.
So clearly we would expect the university to step into the knowledge space and provide a greater, deeper understanding of the virus. However, the University of York went much further than that. It engaged communities, it's provided open access to equipment and facilities and space. It provided us with leadership and support and was very much a partner in dealing with the impacts of the pandemic on this city.
What I've learnt about the University of York community in the last year is that we are incredibly resilient and resourceful, that we're compassionate, that when we say that we're a university for public good, we actually live it as well, and it's about being a community that works together. I have a number of favourite stories from students. Actually, one concerns students actually working with elderly members of the local community to ensure that they could get access to the internet. So they provided training sessions and support so that these people could actually contact their relatives.
The founders of this university talked 60 years ago of what we, our staff, our students, would do to ameliorate human life and conditions. What a sense of purpose for a university to have, and my goodness, how much it has been our compass over the last year. That's what defines the University of York.
Ladies and gentlemen, I declare this congregation for the celebration of awards to be closed. Please would you stand for the academic procession.